As a character in your own story, getting everything you want can be simple, but not easy. And sometimes when you lock into a certain narrative or you tell a certain story about your life, that can imprison you. Very often, that story blinds us to the ways that the systems we are born into limit or expand the scope of our choices or even the range of our agency. But no matter what cards you find in your hands, the drama of life is in how you choose to deal them. In episode 7 of White Lotus season 3, that underlying theme was made much more explicit. And I don't care what corners of the internet are saying, slow burn storytelling and narrative switchback is perfect for breaking down the misery and the power struggles of the ultra wealthy in the White Lotus, and including the staff that serve them. So what has season 3 been doing? They've been taking the commercialized superficiality of the wellness complex and putting it right in its crosshairs, while also connecting audiences who aren't necessarily going to spend $9,000 a night on a hotel room to the theme of form. What form are we taking in this lifetime? What ways of living can ease our suffering? What are we holding on to? And how do we increase our suffering unnecessarily? Are we grasping at people or things that are ultimately not serving us because they fit into the very first story we ever told about ourselves? Piper may be the only person who came here to join a monastery to formally dissect the form of her life and the shape it's taken, but every last one of these characters is grappling with an identity crisis of some kind. And as we teeter towards the moment that is going to leave someone dead, what episode 7 did was show us two things. And that's the tension and confusion that is building as these characters either return to the form that they arrived with or play around with a deviation of that form to get something that they want. And as this episode unfolds, what is withheld from these people as they try to do that is part of what is building into the mystery. Because now we are removing potential motives while adding other ones. Some big moments in this episode include a tense dinner party, a dinner gone bad that ends up with Lori running off to a boxing match, and 3 rejections that will prove to be decisive later. The blonde blob has a confrontation at dinner, leaving everybody upset with each other because the polite veneer can only hold together so much. So we've got Lori accusing Jacqueline of being all over Dave at Dave and Kate's wedding. We have Kate trying to sit on the fence and play both sides. And we have Jacqueline getting really upset with Lori and Lori just jetting off. Some key setup, we have Lori running off with Valentine and his friends to go see that boxing match. And then Guy Talk and Mook are also there. And Guy Talk spots this group. Guy Talk and Mook have been having a pleasant date up until this point. Of course, there was this little tension where Guy Talk realizes that when he admits to Mook that he does not have this killer instinct, it goes up against his Buddhist beliefs about not doing harm or violence to other people. He notices that Mook is not totally buying this. She is someone who goes on to say at the boxing match, look, it's natural, it's inherent for human beings to do these kind of things to each other. I thought you were a little bit more ambitious than this. And it threatens this peace, this easy peace that they've had up to this point. While Mook is gentle with her criticism and pushback, it's clear that these two have very different ideals in terms of his masculinity and what that could mean for their future together. And you guys did well because Guy Talk realized what you realized many episodes ago, which is that these guys, Valentine, Alexei, and Vlad, are the guys from the break-in. But where does this leave Guy Talk? Is he going to take this form of masculinity that will impress Mook? Is he going to stay true to his values? Tension. How does that play into the shots we heard? We don't know. Also of note, Lori has a romantic encounter with Alexei, and this goes haywire, but it's initially motivated by this idea like, I'm going to break form. I'm not Jacqueline's second fiddle. I can go out and have fun. Her friends challenged her at dinner saying, look, like you are always miserable and you keep pointing at us or you keep pointing at other factors, but it's you. Maybe you should go out and basically take life by the horns. She just goes and does that. But how does this go haywire? Well, Alexei immediately afterwards starts cornering her for financial assistance. Now it's Lori's turn to feel used. The girlfriend bursts in, it's drama, she makes a quick getaway. So now, dear listener, is Lori any better than Jacqueline for using Alexei for her own ego too? Could we even say that this wealthy white woman's actions are actually much closer to the wealthier old white guys we see on the show who are picking up less wealthy Asian girls? I love how the show demonstrates the gradation of human hierarchy and how we cannot separate our choices or actions from the power that inherently informs them. Now let's run over to Gary/Greg's party and how there are 3 negotiations going on here. Everyone is here at this party for their own reasons. Saxon is primarily trying to outrun the disgust he feels about himself, and he is doing so by trying to connect with Chelsea. And guess who he thinks can help him do that? Yes, the spiritual and technically clean or clear Chelsea. He's gentle, but he is pushing her boundaries and absolutely manipulating her desire and her form of healing broken men. Why is he doing this? He is trying to prove something to himself. He is not soulless, he has substance, and he is not what he told his father. I'm nothing, basically. I don't have hobbies, I don't have anything, if I don't have this work that we share together. Maybe if she sleeps with him, he won't be so bad. This does not work. She literally throws her book recommendations on her and chases him out of the hotel after she realizes he's using her advice for meditation to get with her. Yes, her tendency is to take on a healing, mothering role to these men, but she is loyal to Rick's pain, and it is Rick's pain that makes her believe that Rick has a soul. Chloe's also desperate to appease Gary Gregg, who she is obviously using for her social situation and setup in Thailand. And she tries to get Saxon to help him, Gary Gregg, play out this fantasy. Of course, Saxon wants nothing to do with it. Saxon is done because Chloe very represents the very thing in himself that he finds deeply disgusting. She uses people and he is done being used. He is not the person to be used. As a predator, she is operating in her old form, and this one, who is rattled by his own actions, is desperately trying to get back to his original form. In Bangkok, Rick is not only confronting Jim, the man who killed his father, but the entire story he has had about who Jim is, the form Jim has taken, and the way it has shaped Rick's own manhood and life. He allows the story in his head about Jim to change, and he chooses a new path, one of nonviolence. Unfortunately, his friend kind of reverts back to his old form and totally tanks his sobriety on their night out celebrating. Back at the monastery, Piper and Lachlan are settling in for the evening, and Piper, to her horror, realizes that Lachlan is telling her that he is going to also pursue a gap year and join her there. This is a reversion back to Lachlan's codependency. He may have emerged as a predator with his brother, but he is basically whatever is right in front of him. He's with Piper, so now this is his path. This is a return to the original form. Lachlan is just shadowing the actions of the sibling that happens to be in front of him. Zion encourages mom to do something new. Greg/Gary has offered at this party $100,000 to basically buy her off. Greg/Gary is trying to live a new life. He's trying to have a new form entirely out here, but he is obviously using the old ways of buying people off, bribing people. Belinda, of course, is nervous. She has to think about it. She runs back to her hotel room with her beloved son. And it's there that she makes this comment about how she can't catch a break in this lifetime. That's Mike White tipping his hat to the theme, you guys. Now, the very medicated Timothy Ratliff has branched out. He's talking to Greg/Gary about the meaning and the depth of the monk and how maybe the guy's onto something. But then he reverts right back because this one, Saxon, comes up and confronts him about what the heck is going on. His son's insecurity, his son's fear rattle him right back. He chooses to revert back to his old form. He denies, he defends, and he placates. He will protect his son's self-perception and his family's perception in front of other people at all costs. He will not crack, he will not let anybody else in, and this is why he continues to think and daydream that just taking everybody out, returning them back, the droplets of water to the greater sea, is still an answer. If they cannot perform their society role, if they cannot play this part perfectly, if this form is no longer something for them to do, there is nothing else for them. This is a surface level understanding of what the monk was saying, and it denies this invitation to wholeness that is actually underlying all of it. We will suffer simply because we're human. That's something we all know. So much Western suffering happens because we stay locked into a social role that serves our ego or an elite ruling class. If the ego doesn't die, if we refuse to acknowledge that there's a wider context that supports us, if we continue to chase individual highs at the cost of truth, connection, and integrity, we suffer more. The wild thing about human flourishing is it often requires a kind of surrender before you can resurrect or be reborn in some way, shape, or form. Not the kind where you pay to escape reality, but the one where you face it. There's this hope that maybe we can just stay locked into these systems because the systems promise that they too will make us powerful and rich one day. These are systems that don't serve us nationally. They don't even serve our community. They don't even serve our best interests. But money and power can obscure the very things you need to do in order to be connected and have wholeness. Because you can get lost in the social games and you can afford to disconnect. I want you to think of the different kinds of danger that these characters have opened themselves up to by reverting back to their old ways or exploring new ones. Someone is going to die, but are they going to die in pursuit of a new life, or are they going to die holding on to an old one? Will they return as a drop of water into that decorative pool made new or trapped in their old life? I guess we'll just have to keep watching. More in-depth breakdowns on this episode. Let me know what theories you have or what you want me to focus on. Goodbye, fellow drops of water.